It's the beginning of a new year, and yet I'm looking back, wondering about this research. And by the way, a funny thing happened to me just yesterday related to my research. So join me as we talk about it now. Welcome. It's Mark Lowe with Kentucky Tennessee Research, here to share, I think, a great story and really some important stuff about our research as we go into a new year, whether we're finishing up another year, whatever. It's always important to realize that our research makes a difference. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the concept of how genealogists links together. And I'll be using that theme a lot this year, but today it's our research really makes a difference. You know, it amazes me after all these years of researching that constantly things keep connecting me to people that I meet or talk about or not even think about, and how that their family connects with mine. I just want to share a little story and show you how clearly this really happens. Yesterday I went for some therapy, normal activity, and go several times a week when I'm here occasionally. And while I was there, I sat beside a friend that I've known forever, somebody I grew up with, and we're sitting there talking. And what's interesting is when you go to a place like that regularly, a doctor's office, school, anywhere you go where there are other people, and you talk. Yeah, I do talk, you know, and I get to talk with the folks. And one of the funny things is when I first got there, I was standing outside, and there was kind of a crowd, and it was a beautiful sunny day. So I waited outside. Well, it's not too long. I see my niece inside walking along. It takes her a while. Hey, she's just like me. I don't know where she gets that talking gene, but hey, she's got it too. So she's talking to folks, and so I waited for her. In the meantime, a couple of folks came in and got in line, and that was okay. It was moving pretty fast. She came out, and I talked to her. And so when we got through, I went on in and sat down and signed up. And it's one of those, for therapy, it's when you sign in and get there, they take you in order and work you through. Well, the two people that had walked in while I was there said, "You go ahead." "No, y'all go ahead. I was talking. I'm good." So the one that I have known forever, we had already talked, and we were talking about her dad's research. He passed away just a short while ago, and we talked about this massive amount of great research he did on his family, he with his sister and their connections and working across, and we talked about that. And I was like, we've looked before at whether there was something important in there, and now I'm just thinking, I got to look again. So we're working that out. So she got on and went on to therapy, and then the lady sitting next to her, who was a friend of hers, they had been talking. I didn't recognize the lady, but we started a conversation. Well, she actually said to me, she said, "My sister is kind of into that." And we talked about that, and she said, "But, you know, she's been interested, and I've never gotten into it. She's worked it back," and she told me a little about the family. And I asked her, I said, where is your family from? Are they from here? She told me the two places where her dad's folks and her mom's folks were from. So she talked about that a little bit. She told me about the two areas, and I was telling her about the records that are available right here. So many places there are records available for free, or at libraries and access, where you can really just begin to do some family history and research. So as we talked about it, and she said, well, she told me who her uncle and aunt were, and I'm like, oh. And then she told me who her dad was, and I'm like, I knew him. I know who you are. I know a little bit about you. Now, I didn't in that moment realize any connection, and she went on, and we spoke, and that was the end. And when I went and visited with my doctor, and it's so normal in regard to this because my doctor's father-in-law was into genealogy, and it's inevitable that it's within us that we talk to people that we meet. And I think that's a good thing because I learn more about them and they learn more about me. Isn't it amazing sometimes? I still think it's amazing what happened in this conversation. So I'm getting home, and I thought about it. And I needed to work on another project, but I just couldn't let go of that project. And I do a lot of times do a simple pedigree chart for folks. I've blocked out her dad's information on there, and it's not, you may be kin to her. If you are, we'll talk about that later. She doesn't know any further about this. Let me just tell you what happened today after yesterday. So I got home, and I looked up her grandparents, her dad's father and mother, and I just started building a simple pedigree chart, just with the notation of, I thought, I always want to encourage people to learn more about their family. Not because our families are famous or wonderful or did great things, because I think it helps us understand more about ourselves and the place where we fall into this world and how we're all linked together. There's not one of us, whether we like them or not, that we're not linked to in some way. We are one body in one sense. So I saved that little 5 generation in the process, and I was going to save that. And I have a place on my tree, and I tend to use the first and just the first and last name with the pedigree chart. And I was in the process of doing that, and went right to my computer and did that, and I started typing, and I saved it. And as I saved it, something came up, and it said, when I typed his name into computer, there was a picture with his name in my computer. That's her dad's picture. Okay? Now, before you start thinking, wow, it goes even a little further than that. And it's amazing to me. Now, I live in a small community, and we are all connected anyway. That's not the surprise, okay? But several years ago, when I worked on the NGS conference in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we were working on a project, and I worked with a local school group and a North Carolina school group and an Alabama school group on family history. Well, the local school group, I fell in love with these kids, by the way. This is the group in the spring of 2017, so 3 years ago coming up, that we worked, and they all individually worked on the project. And I fell in love with these kids, and they're all graduated and have gone on with their lives, and I get to see some of them from time to time, but you know what? There's nothing like working on a project together. And so we worked on that project at that point, and come to find out, there's two of the kids that are connected to the lady that I met for therapy yesterday. So when I got to thinking about it, the 2 girls in that class, what the class did is they did a storyboard, and they talked about their ancestors, and then they talked a lot about them, and they collected documents. And there's a little QR code on every one of these boards. And I have these boards right now. We display them, that we've worked with the groups from time to time. And with your telephone, with the QR code, you can play this, and you can hear them talking about their ancestor. Well, as I was looking at her pedigree chart, I realized that it was the same family. And that their great-grandfather on here is, so really, this guy, this picture right here, is the great-uncle to the girl's father I met yesterday. We are all linked together. And it's not a crazy thing. It's the reality of family and the way that we are connected. Now, one of the reasons that I think it's so important for me to keep my digital records and in place and organized, I have learned from the best, and I continue to learn from the best. But I was looking and listening and learning, and in the process of doing that, I started following, and I have listened to and read her blogs and have her books. Denise Levnick who is the family curator, she's got a great video that's on Legacy Family Tree, and I'll give you the link to that in just a second. But it's called 7 Steps to Manage Digital Files. And her website goes into some of the issues. And Denise is always, I think, given points. I've listened and done this for years, and when I listen to her and other folks talk about it, listen to anybody who's doing it. And she gives you some basic steps. It's just amazing that when I go back and manage that, one of the interesting things is that connected to these other files. And the fact of putting them in order and managing them brings your family together. There's Denise. I want to thank Denise for always encouraging me to go about doing these things, and how I declutter, and how I keep finding a piece of paper, and how to work it and handle it. And I'm suggesting that you look back at the records that you have and the people who encourage you. And maybe if you like the Legacy Family Tree, go listen to Denise's webinar, or any of hers. Go to the website and go link to them. And if not, find somebody you know who knows more than you do, or that will make you do what you need to do to organize your files. Our research makes a difference. It does when we do it. And genealogy links us together. And when we take the effort to do that, then we're always going to find people who are connected to us. We're going to find folks who have perhaps done research that will help us. Maybe you want to find cousins, maybe you don't, but I'll tell you what's more important. It's very important that as we do research, we share that and encourage folks who are younger than us, and they're almost all younger than me now. We encourage them, and whether it's by learning the stories, or by doing basic research, or listening to somebody else's work, whatever it is, let's let the stories go forward and encourage folks to continue to research. Because it's through that research that we do find the connections between our families, and that genealogy literally links us together. Okay, thank you for joining me. Happy New Year, happy holidays. If you're following us now, thank you. If you want a link, if you want to subscribe so you'll know as soon as we're putting out any new videos, and we're going to have a whole new series coming up and additional information to you, and thank you. But if you have comments, or if you have ideas or things that you want us to follow up on, list them in the boxes below. Let me know. It's easy to find. More importantly, though, keep researching, because it makes a difference. Thank you, guys.